How does it feel to kind of be back amongst them and scoring off the bench tonight?
It's always a good feeling to get on the score sheet. Obviously we didn't get the win, but given what I've been through the last couple of months, grinding through surgery, injuries, trying to get back to full fitness. It's definitely a good feeling to get on the score sheet, and hopefully this is the beginning of more to come. But I think the biggest thing for us as a group is just to, we got to stick together right now. We're going through a rut, we're going through a tough spell, but yeah, getting goals definitely a good feeling.
What was working well tonight, I guess, from when you came on and you guys were scoring?
I think we just play with a sense of urgency. I think, obviously going down 3-1 at home is never ideal. It's never a situation you want to be in. So I think, there was just a sense of urgency, pride, showing a bit of character coming from 3-1 down to obviously get a point. As I said, it's never a good feeling as a group, as a team, to concede 4 goals at home. And especially when you score 4 goals at home, you're expected, to win a game. But, unfortunately, the result didn't go our way tonight. But, I think, just coming off the bench, it was just, adding, a sense of urgency, adding energy to the group, and just, giving the group something to feed off.
I don't know how much you feel like you want to share, but injury-wise, just like what have those last couple months been like, and can you kind of just take us in and how tough that is when you want to be on the field but you can't be?
Yeah, it's tough. It's extremely tough as a player, as a competitor. You want to be out there with your guys, so it's never easy to be out with an injury. Watching the guys. You want to be out there with your guys. You want to fight. You want to scrap. You want to battle with them. Help the team get wins. Help the team get results. So, coming back from the injury, the recovery was good for the most part. No real setbacks. A couple, aches and discomfort here and there, which is expected with any surgery. But in terms of recovery, I've made a full recovery now. I think it's just more so, just trusting my body and getting back to full fitness. But that will come. That will take time, but I'm getting there.
One of the cool things is watching you and Malik get to play together again.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys are pretty inseparable off the field.
Right.
How is it playing with him again?
It's always a joy. Malik and I, we have a great understanding. It's someone that I've played with, for a long, long time. And I think, when you guys, see us play together, we're, for the most part, we're in sync. So I think that understanding obviously starts off the field. A lot of, communication, conversation, discussion. But, it's definitely a beautiful feeling just to be out there with him. But not just him, but the entire group. We're a collective group. The camaraderie is good between us. We're like a family. That's what it's about. And it's just a joy to be back with the group and just competing at a high level. And hopefully we can turn this thing around and start to rack up some wins.
Do you have any career experiences to draw from of just being on a team that's kind of struggling to find itself? And do you have any sense of how do we dig in and find ourselves on a different path?
Yeah, I think every season, throughout my career, every season has presented its own individual challenges. I've been a part of groups that have lost 5 games in a row. So if I'm looking at the brighter side of things, we haven't lost 5 games in a row. But at the same time, we haven't been able to consistently pick up wins. We've played well in spurts, not consistently. And I think the biggest thing, we just have to stick together, stay together, and find ways to turn some of these ties into wins. It's been a lot of ties. I think, we've tied more games than we've lost, and obviously the win. And, ties are one of them things where you don't necessarily know how to feel about them. Like the Sacramento game, we tied 1-1. That one felt like a loss. You know what I mean? That one felt like a loss given the circumstances. We were up 1-0, conceded in stoppage time to a pen. But this one tonight, again, it's bittersweet because you score 4 goals at home, you're expected to win. But given the circumstances, being down 3-1, the group, we showed character, we showed grit to come back from behind 2 goals down at halftime. And 2 goals down in the first half to come back and, make it a game and get one late to make it 4-4. So I think we just got to, stick together and find ways to turn some of these ties into wins.
From your perspective, defensively, what are some of the details that you feel like the team needs to correct?
I think our concentration in just moments. I think it's everyone. It's not just one guy. It's from back to front, front to back. It's easy to sit and pinpoint, what this guy didn't do, what that guy didn't do. But at the end of the day, that's not going to get us anywhere. it's each individual guy, you know, being the best you can be in your role on both sides of the ball. And I think it's a collective effort just to, you know, stay tuned in, stay, you know, concentrated, stay locked in moments, especially after scoring. You know, I think that fourth goal that they scored really was like a hammer blow, you know, but what helped us is the fact that they scored it early in the second half. So that, you know, still gave us hope, like, you know, because we scored seconds into the second half and they would concede the seconds, you know, right after. So I think it's just, you know, collectively as a group, we just need to, you know, do some self-retrospection and just look into ourselves and just, you know, go from there.